Tonight, from the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia, we have a live pre-fight show involving the 2015 Beltway Boxing Year in Review prior to the Jetta Promotions card here at the ABC Sports Complex. Hello again, everyone. I'm Gary Digital Williams alongside Juan Marshall. Thanks for joining us here for another big year of Beltway Boxing in 2016, coming off was one of the finest years in Beltway Boxing in quite some time. A lot of things went on. Of course, throughout the last couple weeks, we've done podcasts on it. But tonight, Juan and I are going to take a look at our year-end awards and give you an idea of why we chose what we chose. And a lot of situations involving that as well. So, Juan, first one, of course, your thoughts on the year 2015, Juan.
2015 brought us a lot of spectacular fighters coming out. And also a lot of spectacular fighters moving in the direction which bringing the Beltway boxing area known to the world and also around the nation. And these fighters have planned their careers in order to build themselves in a way and also at the pace that puts them known in the area to in a position where they are right now. Because we have a lot of fighters that put them in positions that built themselves to be great prospects, great champions, and great contenders. And we have a few of those that we're going to talk about pretty soon.
No question about that. Just a great year. We called it the year of accomplishment in 2015 with some outstanding accomplishments throughout the year. And those are reflected in our Beltway Boxing Year in Award. Let's start with the Rookie of the Year. Now, the Rookie of the Year was a situation where there weren't a whole lot of rookies in 2015, and those who were rookies didn't really fight a lot of quality folks except for the person that we chose as the Rookie of the Year of 2015. That was Antonio Russell out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. Going record now 5-0 with 4 KOs. He had an outstanding year, as the entire Russell family did this year, of course, with Antoine winning going to the Olympic, remember the U.S. Olympic team, and Gary Russell Jr., of course, winning the world featherweight title.
Yeah, and he's following the path that we chose the previous Rookie of the Year because their background in amateur careers, those guys didn't step out with just taking real ordinary pro debut fights. Right. These guys came out and took a caliber of fights that they should have been taking, which to actually progress their careers a little further than your regular amateur, pro debut fighter. Right. And that's exactly how we chose these guys on level of competition.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of the honorable mentions involved with that, actually really only 2. They were Eric Hernandez out of Leesburg, Virginia, who probably was the busiest of all the rookies in 2015. And he fought 6 times and probably would have fought a couple more times, but some bouts fell out on him. So that was a tough situation there, but he still was able to be busy. He continuing some busy work again. He's scheduled to go back in March. And also, one of the guys you'll hear tonight here from Springfield, Virginia, and that's Devontae Speed Rawls, who's 4-0, 2 KOs. He had an outstanding rookie year. Really progressed as his rookie year went on.
Yeah, it seemed like he got better and better with each fight that we saw him fight. And the reason why the guys that didn't win the Rookie of the Year, because it could have been closer, but it was pretty much the background of Antonio Russell that gave him the shot to become Rookie of the Year, and he came in at the right time and fought the right caliber of fights to get him there. His fights were notable fights, and it was a little harder than your average pro debut fighter will have, and he was very successful in doing that. And his career is going to broaden a little faster than some of those, which we don't take in consideration choosing Rookie of the Year. But Hernandez, he did an excellent job and he moved at a very fast pace. But to me, if his caliber of fighters were a little bit better, which is not taking anything from him because he chose his fights were chosen correctly for him. Right. But it's just the way things stood out. That's what made the ultimate choice that we made. No question about it. So again, Antonio Russell was 2015 Beltway Boxing Rookie of the Year. The prospect of the year, we were loaded with prospects this year. A number of guys like Demetrius Ballard, of course, Gervonta Davis made it very close because of his connection with Floyd Mayweather, but also just because he was just an outstanding pro this year. Then you also had Michael Fox, Travis Reed, the Rookie of the Year from last year, Lamont Rose Jr. But the man who took it all was the guy who was able to go from prospect to contender this year
and basically did it based on one big fight, and that was his fight against his win over Frank Galarza. We're of course talking about the super welterweight from Accokeek, Maryland. That's Swift Jared Hurd.
Yeah, with Hurd, we saw his progression from day one. You know, coming out of an amateur career, he was in a tough stable of amateur fighters, which he fought through. You know what I'm saying? Even though he didn't get the wins that he should have got, because it takes nothing from him because of the caliber of fighters, which the guys are fighting pro now are doing very well. You know, we have some guys that working on being top prospects, but with Jared Hurd, he actually catapulted himself beyond those fighters as he was fighting in amateur ranks, because he took on a fight, or actually his career was moved in a pace that it was at the pace that a perfect pace actually with his coach Ernesto Rodriguez. Ernesto Rodriguez chose the right fights for him to move in, and chose fights he will learn more and more and more each fight he's taken, and put him in a position against the tough fight with Frank Galarza that I guess we're going to talk about. And it was at the pace where he made Frank Galarza look like it was just too much for him. And that's what stood out with the commentators, also stood out with the fans, and also stood out with the fans that was actually seeing about live. They wasn't expecting that from him, but they changed. The commentators changed their mind, and they have a different thought about Jared Hurd now, and that's why he's prospect of the year.
Right. And the win over Galarza catapulted him into the top 15 in the WBA. He's ranked number 11 now by the WBA. So that's what you can do, and that's the blueprint on what a prospect can do to get into a contender spot.
One of the blueprints.
One of the major blueprints. So again, we had other boxers do very well as prospects. Again, we talked about Gervonta Davis, Demetrius Ballard, and all of them have bouts coming up as well. So it'll be very interesting to see how 2016 will go for a lot of these guys in the Beltway. The knockout of the year, and that was a very competitive one as well. And our winner took place on July 9th at the Tall Cedars Hall in Parkville, Maryland, where Travis Reeves knocked out Samir Barakat in the 6th round. And, a lot of people say there's some brutal knockouts, but again, you look at the competition, Samir Barakat was 6-2 going in against Travis Reeves, who really has come a long way in a very short period of time. And that was the knockout of the year.
Yeah, and also, you have to, the people that's been watching our awards throughout the week that we've been posting them, they were asking maybe questions why some of the bouts that were televised wasn't on. It's only because it was based on fights that took place in the Beltway boxing area and with Beltway boxers. You know, and because we had a lot of out-of-town fights that came into the area, promoters that came into the area, and they put on some good shows, but they didn't qualify. Even though the fights took place here, it wasn't considered 100% Beltway boxing call.
Right.
And that's what we're going on. But we're going to talk about this later on after we finish going over the review.
Yeah. So the knockout of the year, great knockout, Travis Reeves. Samir Barakat had to go to the hospital briefly, but he ended up being okay. That was our knockout of the year. Now, one of the things Juan is alluding to is some of the situations involving our Beltway boxers traveling all over the country and doing some great things, which left the local area kind of depleted this year. We didn't have a lot of bouts to begin with, and a lot of cards, and a lot of the bouts that took place ended up being either wide decisions or quick knockouts. And so it left very few truly competitive bouts in the Beltway region, unfortunately. And that may be something we may go through for next year or so because of that situation. Now, that left a couple good bouts in the area, but the best bout of 2015 took place at Martins Valley Mansion, Cockeysville, Maryland, on November the 12th. It was the Jonathan Ogden Foundation charity card there, and Jennifer Salinas won a 6-round majority decision over Melissa St. Ville in an outstanding bout. Actually, it was a unanimous decision for Salinas, but an outstanding bout there in Cockeysville, Maryland.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go to that fight, but with Jennifer Salinas, she came back in the past year and a half and did a lot in this area. And she was in a lot of tough bouts.
Right.
And you mentioned that you talked to me about this bout, and you said it was a tough bout. These girls went the distance, and they fought hard throughout. And I had a chance to see Melissa St. Ville fight in Delaware, and she fights very tough. And gives tough competition. I mean, she takes punches and she gives punches. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened in this bout here.
That's exactly what happened in that card. And actually, she had the early advantage in that card, and Salinas had to come back and really do some strong work, and she did that and was able to get things going. So Jennifer Salinas wins the bout of the year, her bout against Melissa St. Ville on November the 12th. The card of the year took place in Washington, D.C. at the Sphinx Club. Keystone Boxing card. Keystone won this award 3 years in a row, and they deserved it. No question about that. And July 18th card was a very special card, and it was some good bouts in that card, and that got the Beltway Boxing card of the year.
And one way we picked the bout of the card of the year is because of the competition of the bouts. And we picked actually we got to look at everything: the crowd participation, the quality of competition in the bouts, the matchmaking, and the three times that Keystone has won it, they did above and beyond the rest of the cards. Right. Because some cards might have had some good quality fights, but it might have been only maybe two good bouts on the card. But Keystone has played some cards where the majority of the bouts was good competition. Yeah. And also they did it on the basis of complete cards. And they continue to that's the reason why we did it, because we've been to some good Tony Jetta cards. Yeah. We've been to some good Shabazz cards. We've been to some other good cards that we have. But the consistency throughout the year and that one card that we chose this year, it just stood out amongst the rest.
Yeah, I mean, you had cards, the Shaw Style Promotions Shabazz Brothers card in December at the Burns Arena in Baltimore. Had one of the great crowds you can have at any Beltway boxing card. I mean, the place was packed. I haven't seen the Burns packed like that in years. But again, the bouts in the ring separated that situation. But the bouts in the ring at the Sphinx Club, we'll be back at the Sphinx Club in February with the King's Promotions card, but it just stood out. That card just stood out.
And they stood out because the fighters that normally would fight on Keystone cards, we saw each and every time they fought on the Keystone card, they fought harder competition every single time. Right. And that's what happened in this particular card. The last card was harder competition. We seen top quality guys, which elevated. Some of those guys from that card actually elevated to go to the next level. Right. Being signed, mainly because of that card. And they said that's what it's a standout. It's a standout from the rest. And that's basically that's all it is.
Question about it. So card of the year, July 18th, Sphinx Club, Keystone Promotions card there at July 18th. And finally, our co-boxers of the year. Again, great year of accomplishment for a lot of our Beltway boxers. Alantez Fox made a move. Of course, Lamont Peterson was a mainstay on the cards, the Premier Boxing Champions cards. Mike Reed did a lot of traveling both on the East Coast and in the West Coast. Of course, we talk about Jennifer Salinas. Dominic Wade in a big bout against Sam Solomon that got him ranked in all four of the major governing bodies at middleweight. But the co-boxers of the year were the guys that really did a number. And they really made the biggest accomplishments of 2015 in our eyes. And of course, the WBC featherweight champion of the world, that's Gary Russell Jr., and also a man who won 2 regional titles, put himself in the top 10 in all four of the major governing bodies, and also put himself to be a television fixture on Showtime, and that is, of course, Antoine Action Douglas. Those two were our co-boxers of the year.
Yeah, and it was a no-brainer to put Gary Russell Jr. there. It was a world champion. You can't pass that up. But the actual standout just below that was Antoine Douglas. His accomplishments, every single bout that he's fought on, every single last bout, his latest bouts were televised, and he dominated in every single one. Yep. And he put himself in a position where he's already recognized, and they already looking at him fighting down the road to fight for a championship.
Yeah, and also being on sometime in the first quarter of 2015, Antoine Douglas scheduled to be on Showtime Championship Boxing, not just Showtime Championship Boxing in the first quarter of this year. So that was the outstanding situation. So we look at 2015. You look at all the ranked Beltway boxers we have. Gary Russell Jr., of course, WBC featherweight champion of the world, record of 26-1, 15 KOs. Lamont Peterson, now is a welterweight, former IBF super lightweight champion. He is 34-3-1, 17 KOs, had a win and a loss during the year. Ranked number 4 by the WBC, number 7 by the IBF. As we said, Jared Hurd ranked number 11 by the WBA. Dominic Wade is ranked in middleweight, and Jared Hurd, a junior middleweight, by the way. Dominic Wade, 18-0, 12 KOs. He's ranked number 7 by the WBC, number 9 by the WBA, 3 by the IBF, and 15 by the WBO. And then Antoine Douglas, 19-0-1, 13 KOs. Wade is 18-0, 12 KOs. Douglas ranked number 14 by the WBC, 7 by the WBA, 12 by the IBF, and 4 by the WBO. And you look at those boxers just in 2015 alone, their record was 10-0, 7 KOs. Overall, their record, all their records overall, 114, just 4 losses, 2 draws with 68 KOs. That is a tremendous way, and that is the major reason why we call 2015 the year of accomplishment.
Yeah, and I think with these guys here, these guys are going to be in this position for a long time. You know, with Lamont Peterson putting himself in a new position in welterweight, which he was planning on doing for a long time. He just stuck it out at 140, you know, to get those fights that he could to make that weight, but the weight is getting a little harder to make for him. But he's going to be fighting the same exact guys that he was fighting at junior welterweight, fighting them at welterweight. You know, because basically opened up a whole new chapter in the welterweight division. And of course, Antoine Douglas, he's going to stay in those rankings for a long time. He's going to be moving up in those rankings, hopefully towards a championship.
No question about that. So, with that in mind, we look at 2016. We begin 2016 tonight, and we'll do some interesting situations starting already in 2016. We'll talk about that throughout the evening. So, give us about 10 minutes. Back at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we're back with the broadcast tonight of the Jetta Promotions card here from the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. Give you all the details about this card coming up. 15 bouts on the card tonight, so we have a good time for you. We're going to introduce you also to a brand new sponsor for the Boxing on the Beltway Google app for Android broadcast right here. So make sure you stay with us back in 10 minutes, 8 o'clock Eastern Time for the live broadcast from Springfield, Virginia. Till then, for Juan Marshall, I'm Gary Digital Williams. Be back in 10 minutes right here on the Boxing on the Beltway Google app for Android.